What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Thanks for checking out this video. What I wanted to talk about today is believing in yourself, the importance of it, but not just that it's important. So I think we can all agree on that pretty simply, but maybe how to begin to believe in yourself. Okay, so, I feel like when I was playing, and even outside of baseball, outside of competition, you hear this all the time, like believe in yourself, you got to believe in yourself, you got to believe in yourself. Whatever you're doing, that's absolutely true. You got to believe in yourself, okay? And the thing I would always hear is trust in your stuff, trust in yourself, trust your swing, trust yourself, right? And I think we can all absolutely look each other in the eyes and understand that's very important. Okay, but where does that come from? And I think that's the question that needs to get asked to even start to find the right answer for players and for coaches. Okay, we can all agree it's important. If you don't believe in yourself, you're not going to accomplish what you're looking to accomplish. You're not going to surprise yourself. And if you do, then props to you, because most of the time, especially a skill-based physical sport, like I've never seen it. So where does it start? Where does believing in myself start? And I think, the easiest thing to go to, in my opinion, is your work ethic. Okay, what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, your consistency over a longer period of time, not just what you did for a week, not just what you did for 3 months, but you start racking up some time frames, 6, 12, 18 months down the line of being really consistent and having some conviction behind what you're doing, right? Where you're not just like aimlessly floating around. You know what you're doing, you know why you're doing it, you do it, with everything you've got, and you do it for a long period of time. That's where believing in yourself begins, right there. Plain and simple, cut and dry. It starts right there, because without any of those things, you have no foundation, okay? So it starts right there. Okay, and then how do I transfer it to competition? I think it's a very different conversation, okay? Because I know so many people, I was this way myself at times, right? Where I'm working super hard and I go to the game, I have trouble rolling over, my skill set to the game. If that's you, okay, then this right here is specifically directed at you, okay? First and foremost, what I've experienced, not just of myself, but watching of others compete at a high level, right? When you work that hard over a long period of time, you're really convicted in what you do, right? You go out there and compete, that's the fun time. That's the fun time. The practice was the hard stuff, right? The game and the competition is the fun part. So you have to go out there and have fun first and foremost. If you're not having fun, you need to really self-evaluate, what you're doing, because it has to be fun. Okay, you have to find some joy. You have to find some fun in it. Okay, and then we can get past that. Okay, the next thing I'd suggest is that we really have to attack it mentally. Right, I have to go straight at it. You bring it on mentality. Doesn't matter who you're facing. Doesn't matter what the other team's ranked. Doesn't matter how good your opposition is. It doesn't matter how big the company you're going up against is. You have to attack it. And the thought is, if I go down, I'm going down swinging and bloody and bruised, and you're going to have to do that to me to knock me out, because I'm going to keep coming. And that has to be your mentality when you go towards anything like that, okay? And then after that, it's not always going to go well because you've had fun and you've attacked it. You're going to continue to face adversity after that. So what do we have to do then? Because you're not just going to flip this light switch and it's all going to be sunshines and rainbows over and over again after that. You're going to face more adversity, right? So you have to find small wins, the small victories, okay? And within that, you're probably analyzing what you did poorly, but you got to look to try to build some momentum. Because if we're doing this cycle of working hard, being consistent, being convicted, having fun while we're competing, attacking it mentally, right? You find the small wins, you try to build some momentum. Obviously, you'd like to address, what you can perform at better, in your training program, in your practice, in your preparation, whatever it is. But we want to find small wins with that and start to build some momentum. If you keep rinse and repeating that over and over again, like I said, for a very long duration of time, not just a couple weeks, not just one season, but 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, you start to adopt that as who you are as a person, and you'll notice you start to do everything that way. You start to do everything that way, and that's how winners are born, in my opinion, are made, I should say. So one of the hardest pieces of adversity to face, I think is like a much more longer span, like adversity. I'd rather have pitched one like horrible game, get it out of the way in one start, rather than like a just not quite cutting it for a couple months down the road. You know what I'm saying? Some longer adversity. And the example that I always talk about with people, younger athletes especially, is kind of transitioning, like what I experienced, what you might experience of adversity, as you continue to climb levels from high school to college, professional, for me, from my experience. Right, like when I was in high school, that adversity, lasted a game, lasted a week, lasted a very short duration of time. Because the reality is, when you're going up to face somebody else that the other team or whatever have you, like the lineups, in high school, and when I'm pitching against them, just consistently from game to game, aren't as good. Like obviously the lineups that I faced in the SEC on Friday nights are real good, much better than that, right? But then even from then, professionally, the double A lineups that I faced were, leaps and bounds ahead of the SEC lineups. And then you take that whole other step again in the major leagues, right? So like when you're facing that longer form adversity, right? And I don't mean you just like sucked within a game, but you're like having trouble like picking up the concept or concepts that's going to make you successful at that level or the next level, right? I experienced it going from my senior of high school to my freshman year of college. And, I was not successful, I felt like, for, weeks at a time, right? And I'd have a game where I'd go 7 shutout, and I'm like, woo, I feel way better. I look back at that season, and you look back at the numbers of that season, and it's like, I didn't put a great, case together, for that season. But I had some major wins like within that season. And then I can look at like, professional baseball where, man, I had months where I was just like, man, this is just not cutting it. My velocity is not good enough. My breaking ball is not good enough. Because obviously the expectation to execute has risen because the competition level's higher and everything like that, right? So like dealing with that in a much longer time frame and not letting it eat you alive and sticking to this process of working hard, being consistent, building a plan you can be convicted behind, having fun, attacking it mentally, finding small wins, building momentum, and getting your freaking butt kicked for 3 months in a row. Or shoot, a bad season, right? That like we all are baseball fans. We look at major league seasons. There's been good pitchers, all-star caliber pitchers, players. It happens to everybody, okay? Where they're a great player and they had a bad season, okay? And not letting the doubt creep in my mind because I failed during that season that I am a failure or that I suck now. And that's one of the hardest things for athletes to do, is not let that creep into your mind, not let it change your course, right? It should probably change a little bit of what you're doing. If it's a longer form, you have to adapt or die, and that's kind of the mantra that I've used, that we use, but not letting that longer form adversity really like change your self-belief is one huge thing, right? Because if I keep doing that, you have to believe that, your best days are ahead of you. You have to believe that the work that you're putting in is good enough to beat the competition, and then when you get out there, you gotta attack them. And really at the end of the day, that's all you can do. That's all you can do. Do your best to execute, find small wins, build some momentum, like I said. So some of that adversity there, like, going back to your roots of work ethic, consistency, conviction, look yourself in the mirror. How's that been? If that's been good, am I having fun? If that's been if that's been good, have I been attacking it mentally, right? And then after that, if I can check all those boxes, okay, you got to find some small wins. You got to look to build some momentum, right? You got to sometimes tell yourself, that you're the man, even when you don't feel like the man, and that's the only way to overcome those hurdles. So appreciate you guys checking out this video. If it made you think, or you got any questions to expand on that, absolutely drop them down in the comments below. Like, comment, subscribe. Appreciate you guys, and I'll see you next time.